The arrival of diplomats. The stars over Earth's orbit shimmered like cold fire, endless and silent. Against that silence, a convoy of alien ships slipped out of faster-than-light travel. Their hulls glowed with prideful markings, banners of empires that had ruled the stars for thousands of years. They had not come in war, or so their messages claimed. They had come as diplomats. From the bridge of the lead ship, Ambassador Cathar folded his hands behind his back and smiled with sharp teeth. His aides whispered praises. Humans have grown fast, but they are still children, one said. They speak loudly, but their fleets are fragile. Another chuckled. This mission will be short. They will bow once they see who truly commands the galaxy. Cathar believed it. For centuries, the Galactic Council had laughed whenever Earth was mentioned, a planet scarred by wars, a species too young to understand power. And yet, rumors had spread, rumors that humans built weapons too large, ships too strange, technologies too bold. Cathar dismissed them as stories told by frightened traders. Soon, he would see for himself. The alien ships slid into Earth's orbit like predators circling prey. The blue planet hung below, beautiful but small, its oceans shining under the sun. On the surface, human cities sparkled like nets of light. To Cathar's eyes, they looked fragile, temporary. He chuckled. How easily they forget who rules the stars, he murmured. Inside the United Earth Embassy in orbit, the human delegation prepared. The chamber was quiet, the walls made of polished steel and glass. Behind them stretched a wide view of Earth itself. At the table, Admiral Hayes adjusted his uniform. He was old, his face marked by deep scars from battles past, but his eyes were sharp. He said little, only tapping his finger softly on the metal surface. Beside him, the young diplomat Anna Reyes checked her notes nervously. She whispered, "Admiral, what if they insult us again?" Hayes gave a faint smile, almost amused. "Let them. Words are smoke. Smoke always clears." The air vibrated as the alien delegation entered, tall figures with scaled skin, eyes like burning coals, and ceremonial robes that shimmered under the lights. They walked with arrogance, as if each step was a reminder of their superiority. Their voices filled the chamber. Ambassador Cathar's first words were heavy with disdain. "Humans, you have been loud in your demands. The Council does not appreciate noise from a species that has barely seen its second century in space." His aides hissed agreement, their jaws snapping in mockery. Anna flinched. She looked at Hayes, expecting him to rise to protest to defend humanity's honor. But Hayes did nothing. He simply leaned back, folded his arms, and gave the faintest of nods, as if he had been waiting for this exact insult. That nod unsettled the aliens. For a moment, they hesitated. They had expected anger, begging, or desperate defense. Instead, there was calm. Cathar continued louder as if to cover his unease. "Your fleets are small. Your worlds are few. Your technology is reckless. Do you think yourselves equal to us? You should kneel. The galaxy is patient, but not forever." Anna's hands trembled. She wanted to shout, but again Hayes remained silent. His calm spread like cold fire through the chamber. He finally spoke, voice low and even. "You came to talk, not to threaten. Let us talk." Cathar narrowed his eyes. Something in the human's voice, steady, unafraid, irritated him. He leaned closer, lowering his tone. "Do not pretend, human. We know the truth. Your power is fragile. The Council could erase your fleets in a single wave." Hayes looked at him for a long moment, then allowed himself the smallest of smiles. "Perhaps," he said, "but perhaps not." That smile echoed in Cathar's mind long after the words faded. He turned sharply, signaling his aides to sit. The negotiations began, but under the table of diplomacy, another battle had already started, one of nerves, patience, and hidden truths. Above Earth, alien sensors picked up faint disturbances. Fleets watching from afar adjusted their scopes. Somewhere in the darkness of space, something vast moved. Too slow, too deliberate to be an asteroid, too silent to be a normal ship. The aliens did not yet know what it was. The humans did not yet reveal it. But the game had begun. The negotiations began with stiff formality. The long table stretched between the two delegations, glass panels glowing with translated words, as every sentence carried across in perfect clarity. Yet clarity only sharpened the insults. Ambassador Kethar's tone dripped with superiority. "We offer you a seat at the council not out of respect but out of mercy. Without us, you would remain trapped in your small corner of space. You should thank us." His aides leaned forward, their scaled fingers tapping the table with impatience. One even hissed, showing rows of jagged teeth. To them, this was already decided. The humans would bend, but the humans did not. Admiral Hayes sat in silence, calm and heavy like a mountain. His presence made even the silence between words feel deliberate. Anna Reyes tried to match his composure, though her eyes flicked nervously to the alien faces across the table. Kethar slammed a clawed hand onto the glass, making the translators flicker. "You bring arrogance to these talks. Your species builds ships it cannot control. Rumors spread across the stars that Earth plays with fire, fire that will consume you." Hayes finally spoke, his voice low, but carrying to every corner of the chamber. "Rumors are dangerous things, Ambassador. They burn the ones who believe them too quickly." Kethar narrowed his eyes. He expected fear, excuses, perhaps even anger. Instead, the human admiral's words carried an unsettling confidence. The younger aliens shifted uneasily. Why did the humans look so calm? Why did they not defend themselves with numbers or promises? As the arguments dragged on, small details began to twist the atmosphere. Alien sensors buzzed faintly in the background of the chamber, alerting their officers to strange energy fluctuations outside. A second aide whispered into Kethar's ear, "There are distortions in orbit. Unexplained mass signatures." Kethar brushed it aside. "Faulty readings. Humans. Crude systems infect our instruments." Still the unease spread. Each time Hayes glanced toward the wide window showing the curve of Earth, it was as if he knew something waiting beyond the planet's shadow. His silence spoke louder than any words. Anna leaned closer to him and whispered, "Admiral, they're mocking us. They're twisting every phrase. Should we not—" Hayes cut her off gently. "Patience." His eyes never left Kethar's. "A storm doesn't argue with the sky. It simply arrives." Anna's breath caught. She didn't fully understand what he meant, but the weight of it chilled her. The alien delegation pressed harder. "Show us your fleets," Kethar demanded. "Show us the weapons you claim exist, or admit that you are only pretending to stand among true powers." For the first time, Hayes leaned forward, his scarred hands folded together, and he spoke with a calm that felt rehearsed, deliberate. "You came here as diplomats. If you wish to see our strength, then you will. But once seen, it cannot be unseen." The room fell still. Even the translator paused for half a second as if uncertain how to carry such a heavy line. Kethar forced a laugh, though it sounded hollow. "Is that a threat, human?" Hayes didn't blink. "It is a fact." A chill settled over the chamber. On the alien flagship outside, their crew scrambled as their sensors pinged again, louder, sharper this time. Something massive was approaching, too slow for a fleet in attack formation, too steady for a natural body. In the chamber, Kethar tried to continue his speech, but his voice faltered as another whisper reached him through his comm bead. "Ambassador, there is a shadow in orbit. A vessel, size and unknown." Hayes noticed the flicker of fear in the alien's eyes. He said nothing more. His silence was the most powerful answer of all. Outside, the stars themselves seemed to tremble. The chamber grew colder, though no system had changed the temperature. A tension, invisible yet heavy, filled every corner. Even Anna could feel it pressing against her chest, a weight that made every breath sharp. Outside, the alien flagship's bridge was alive with alarms. Officers rushed between consoles, eyes fixed on their scanners. "Something is moving," one hissed. "No, not moving, emerging." The readings were impossible. A gravitational distortion stretched across space, like ripples in a still pond. But there was no starship registered, no transponder, no known mass large enough to explain it. The anomaly was silent, yet it bent the instruments with undeniable force. Back in the negotiation hall, Ambassador Cathar snapped at his aides. "Ignore these phantom signals. Humans tamper with machines, tricks, they have nothing real to show." His voice was louder than before, but it carried cracks, the sharp edges of fear. Hayes leaned back in his chair, his scarred face calm, almost bored. He let the alien's words echo until silence followed. Then he looked out the window at the curve of Earth. His lips curved into a faint smile. Anna noticed it and whispered, trembling, "Admiral, is it time?" He didn't answer. His silence was the answer. Cathar rose to his full height, his ceremonial robes flowing, scales gleaming under the chamber lights. "You play games, human. Show us your truth, or admit your weakness." Hayes finally turned his gaze on him. "You wanted to see," he said, voice calm, steady, unshaken. He raised a hand and tapped a small device on the table. "Then, look outside." The window dimmed, its surface polarizing until the full darkness of space stretched before them. At first, the stars shone clear. But then, one by one, they vanished. Not because they died, not because clouds covered them, but because something enormous slid across the sky, blotting them out like a curtain of steel. Anna gasped, her heart racing. The aliens froze, their mocking grins vanishing into shock. The shape had no name in their records, no match in any archive. It moved with silent grace, its surface absorbing light, its sheer scale dwarfing even the largest alien dreadnoughts. On the alien flagship, the crew fell into chaos. "It's a vessel. Mass, unreadable, it's bigger than anything," one officer cried, voice breaking. Another whispered in disbelief, "It's impossible. No ship should be this size." In the chamber, Hayes did not move. His eyes never left Cathar's. "You call us children," he said softly, "but children grow. And when they do, those who mocked them must decide how they will face them." The alien aides shifted uncomfortably, their scales rippling with unease. Cathar's throat clicked as he tried to form words, but none came. His pride was cracking, collapsing under the shadow now covering Earth's orbit. The massive vessel did not fire. It did not threaten. It simply existed, its presence enough to change the entire balance of power. And still, Admiral Hayes sat quietly, as if this was only the beginning. The stars vanished behind it. What had first seemed like a trick of shadows revealed itself as the shape moved, slow, deliberate, impossible to ignore. The chamber's polarized glass adjusted again, outlining the Colossus in orbit. For the first time, the aliens could see its true form. A ship. No, a fortress. Its hull stretched for miles, plated in blackened alloy that shimmered with faint blue lines of energy. Weapons arrays bristled across its surface, each one large enough to reduce an alien cruiser to ash in a single strike. Its spine ran like a mountain range across the void, towers of communication and defense glittering like distant cities. It was not simply a warship. It was a continent of steel and fire built to defy the galaxy itself. Ambassador Cathar staggered a step back, his voice caught in his throat. This cannot be." On his flagship, crew members scrambled across consoles, reports flooding in. Energy output exceeds Council dreadnoughts by 100-fold. Defenses, layered beyond penetration. Weapon readings, unclassifiable. One officer whispered what no one wanted to hear. "This is no fleet. This is one ship." The alien aides in the chamber no longer looked arrogant. Their scales shifted pale, their eyes darting between Hayes and the monstrous vessel filling the stars. Admiral Hayes remained seated, his hands folded, his face calm. To him this was not surprise, not revelation. It was routine. He finally spoke, his words slow, deliberate, heavy as thunder. This is the Titan class, one ship built not to conquer, but to remind the galaxy that Earth is no one's prey. The silence that followed was crushing. Even the hum of the translator seemed distant, as though the machines themselves dared not break the moment. Anna Reyes stared at the vessel in awe, her chest tight with a mix of pride and disbelief. She whispered, more to herself than anyone else, We really built this?" Hayes gave a faint nod. His eyes, however, never left the aliens. "You asked for proof of our strength," he said. "Now you have it." Kether tried to recover, his voice trembling. "One ship does not change the galaxy. The Council has hundreds of smaller ships." Hayes interrupted smoothly. His tone was not boastful, not loud. It was calm, inevitable. "The Council builds fleets. We build legends." The words cut deeper than any weapon. Cathar could see it. The sheer size, the audacity of the Titan-class warship. Humanity had done what others never dared. Where the galaxy had followed rules, Earth had broken them. Where others built within limits, humans had created something that defied them. And most terrifying of all, the ship was not even moving aggressively. It did not aim its guns. It did not fire. It only existed. And that existence was enough to rewrite everything the aliens thought they knew about power. Outside, other alien fleets watching from distance sent frantic transmissions. Councils debated. Panic rippled through empires. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's balance of fear shifted. In the chamber, Hayes rose slowly, towering though his frame was not as monstrous as the aliens. His presence, backed by the shadow of the Titan class, was greater than any roar. He looked directly at Cathar, his voice a whisper of iron. "Now tell me, Ambassador, do you still believe we are children?" Cathar's mouth opened, but no, words came. His arrogance had drowned in the shadow of the Titan class, and outside the giant warship's lights pulsed once, like the heartbeat of a Titan awakening. The chamber was silent. No one moved. No one breathed. The Titan-class warship hung outside like a mountain carved from the void, its presence crushing every doubt, every arrogant whisper the aliens had carried with them. Ambassador Kether's claws twitched against the table. His aides, once mocking and proud, now stared at the window with wide, unblinking eyes. Their bodies betrayed them. Their scales had paled to the shade of fear, their tails motionless. Finally, Cathar forced words past his throat. Why build such a thing?" His voice was no longer commanding. It was small, shaking, like a child lost in a storm. Admiral Hayes stood slowly. His figure seemed ordinary compared to the monstrous shadow outside, yet somehow he felt just as vast. His voice was calm, but it carried the weight of oceans. "Because the galaxy taught us," he said. "For centuries we were told we were too young, too reckless, too weak. Empires mocked us, predators hunted us. Even in peace we were treated as less." He paused, his eyes locked with Cathar's. "We listened, and then we built. We built, not to conquer, but so no one would ever mistake silence for weakness again." And Reyes, her heart pounding, felt her pride rising like fire in her chest. She looked at the aliens and saw the fear in their eyes, the same aliens who had entered with arrogance, now shrinking in the presence of something they could not control. Outside, the Titan-class warship rotated slowly, its hull catching sunlight. A ripple of energy ran along its spine, weapon systems humming, not in threat but in readiness, like a beast that only had to open its eyes to end entire fleets. On the alien flagship, messages flooded. Other fleets reported back with panic. "Dozens of our ships cannot match its mass. The gravitational field alone is warping our drives. This ship could siege entire star systems alone." The realization spread like fire. Humanity had not just caught up with the galaxy. Humanity had leapt past it. Kethar's lips trembled as he tried to recover his dignity. The Council will not accept this. They will. Hayes cut him off with a single look. The Council will adapt as you will, because there is no other choice. He stepped closer to the table, his presence filling the chamber. Earth does not seek to rule the galaxy, but Earth will never bow to it either. The words landed heavier than any weapon. It was not a threat. It was not arrogance. It was truth. Cathar lowered his gaze. For the first time in his long career, he had nothing left to say. Hayes turned away, his voice quiet, almost weary. Negotiations can continue, if you are ready to speak as equals. No one argued. No one dared. As the alien sat in silence, the Titan-class warship pulsed again, its lights blooming across the hull like a heartbeat steady and unstoppable. A reminder, a warning, a promise. Anna whispered softly, as though afraid to disturb the moment. They'll never forget this day. Hayes gave a faint nod, his expression unreadable. That was the point. And with those words, the balance of the galaxy shifted forever.